All right, so first off, I'd say for a lot of us, like American Tail and Secret and Nim, like among my earliest memories. It's kind of really cool to be able to talk to you like this. The question's a little bit loaded, but I'll try to keep it short as possible. For a lot of people, like 80s animation, all the groundbreaking stuff is like, steeped in our childhood. Whether it be something like your films or Ralph Bakshi, like heavy metal, Fritz the Cat on the western side. But over east in Japan, you had films like Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, and all the Studio Ghibli stuff. Was there any correspondence or awareness of that while you were doing your thing?
I've always been aware of Japanese anime. I've always been aware of it. It's a different feeling, and it's highly focused on the graphics. I think they're beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I've seen some of the full-length feature animation. I'm trying to remember his name. Miyazaki, yeah. So I've seen that, and I sit through the whole thing. I want to watch it, and I want to watch it to the end. But when you get into something like it's half an hour series particularly, to me, I just, So I've seen it. How can I say this? If when I'm looking at a design, just a graphic design on a piece of paper, it can come to life to me just as a one drawing, not a whole bunch of moving drawings. As one drawing, it can come to life if the person who drew it represents in that drawing an emotion. Because you can look at drawings and what they look like is they look like they're dead, but there's no emotion. It's not in the eyes, it's not in the body language, it's not in any of the things. So one single drawing can have power to actually impress people. But if you put them a lot of them together and then you say, no, what we want to focus is the art of moving the drawing, then usually the drawing is quite dead.
Thank you.
Can everyone hear me? Yep. Hi. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Hi, I'm Alex. It's Army 2. I'm a particular fan of Anastasia, which, as I understand, was your first movie with 20th Century Fox. And I think from what I've read with the production that when they were considering making the movie, they were considering that or My First Lady, but I'm wondering if there was something that particularly drew you to the movie or if it was mostly the studio's decision.
Anastasia was Bill Mechanic's idea. He said to us when we moved the whole studio from Ireland to Arizona, he said, I want you to make a movie, because they were already going to put up the money. He said, I want to make a movie about rags to riches. I said, you mean like My Fair Lady? You mean like Annie Get Your Gun? Rags to riches? He says, yes. So we began to make up a story and finally arrived at the Roanoke family, which was about a princess who forgot who she was and was in rags begging on the street. And so she had to discover that she was actually not just rich, but she was a princess. And that became the magic of the story. Can you actually cost a lot of money? Like $250,000 a page.
Wow.
For her, and the way she did it, she would write, well, here's the sentence that you have written. I've written 5 versions of that sentence, which you might like better.
I would have done it for $50,000 a page, but I mean, it's pretty good, right?
So there were a lot of writers and everything. There was even a writer from Marcia that they brought in and had to write some lines. So there's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of people putting it together, hoping that it all spells mother when you're done. Because there's just a ton of people, and you have the egos, a lot of egos in the group. It's really, I think what you can do, it's like, I compare it to a symphony orchestra. You got a lot of people in there, the bassoons, the violins, the violas, the flutes, the piccolos. They're all in there with different characteristics, and then you ask yourself, when we all play together, will this make any sense? And when they're tuning up, it makes no sense. But when they play from a score, and they're playing the 1812 overture, my word. You were lifted out of your chair.
Yeah. Was there a particular inspiration for Bartok?
Bartok. Bartok was originally, that was my idea, Bartok.
Oh.
And what I did is I said, we're going to have a mouse, but it's going to be white, and it can fly. And then it's going to be funny, it's the clown. So we brought in, I can't even remember his name.
Hank Azaria?
Short, Martin Short. We brought in him, Martin Short, and said, now Martin, you're going to be this little thing, a nervous little bat, and all that kind of stuff. Very nervous, and so that's the characteristic. And so he did it, and we took the recording back to Bill Mechanic and said, I'm not laughing. Okay. Go back and tell Martin to be funny. So I did. And he got very angry. Very, very angry, you know. I said, no, you want to do it? No, I'm done. So in came Hank Azaria. And Hank had a different, he says, no, I don't see a mouse at all that's nervous. I don't see that at all. And he says, let me just show you what I feel about this mouse. And then he started to talk like that. I can't imitate it, but he started to talk like that, where he was a reasonable little character. And now we're back to the killing. You know, it was funny. And the first time he went in the booth and recorded that, everyone that was in the sound booth was laughing their heads off. I said, well, then I guess Bill Mechanic will like it too. And he became funny from then on. He stole the show, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carly. I met you both earlier. It was an honor. My question is, I remember you, Don, have said, I don't know if it's a direct quote, that a child can get through anything as long as there's a happy ending. And what was, I guess, the philosophy that made you think that and put that in like all of your movies?
Well, everybody wants to be happy. And you want, you know, and life is filled with trials, one after another, in case you haven't noticed. You know, they come at you one after another. If it isn't, you're sick and you have a cold, or you have the fever, or maybe it's cancer. I even had cancer. You know, and I said, well, and I went to God and I prayed about this. I said, God, okay, so now I've got cancer, and I heard they die of that. Do you want me to die of this? Is that okay? If it's okay with you, I'll do it. And I heard the voice said, no, Don, you're not dying of cancer. But what you're going to do is you're going to learn something by having cancer. And so it was a lesson. It was a lesson. So things happen all along the way, but the thing is that you keep fighting. You have the courage, you have the heart. You know, you believe enough that life is more good than it is bad, that you triumph over all that stuff. You have to triumph over it. And depression, wow, depression doesn't it? It hits everybody every once in a while. So just learn that life is good. And you're part of the good. And you can make people around you happy, or you can make them miserable by complaining all the time. That's it, that's all I know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we've got about 2 minutes left, so if we could do a speed round of the last 4 of you, that'd be great.
Sure thing. My name is Monique. I really don't have a question, just an encouragement. Thank you so much for the years of encouragement. All the answers that you've been giving to us today have I've seen in the stories. So thank you for an awesome childhood for myself, and I'm sure hundreds of thousands, millions of others. And for, I just appreciate art with heart. And that's what I've seen in all of the films. So thank you.
Thank you. Somebody noticed.
Hello, name's Aaron Delgado. I'm a big fan of your work, Don Bluth. I do have some of your best movies in my catalog, from Land Before Time, All Those Would Happen, which is my favorite, and Anastasia. You have a great talent with those films. And I say All Dogs is the one that made a big impact with me in my life. It was quite a unique story of a jerk who became a hero to help a little girl and even earned his way back to heaven. As I watch it with me and my grandma all the time. And I always think of her when I watch that film. And it inspired me in storytelling and all.
Thank you, Jim.
My name is Evan, and once again, as everyone has said, thank you so much for taking the time to come to Chicago. This is a question actually for both Don and Phillip. Whenever it comes to all of your productions that you have made, all of the movies that you've successfully released and have been involved in, we all know kind of like during the production stage, like ideas get thought up and then they get scrapped. Has there ever been an idea that you would like physically fight with someone during production to ensure that no, this has to be in the final version of the movie for an audience to see? And if so, like, what would be like your most proud thing that you fought to keep in one of your movies?
That's tough. I mean, as an actor, you don't really have that say because you're hired to do a role, and that belongs more to the director and the producer. So I couldn't answer on that perspective. As a producer, you do have some of that say because you generally, a lot of times, you'll have a final cut on the film or the TV show, depending on what it is. I don't know that I have a particular, but there have been stuff. I made a movie years ago called Life on the Line. It was a Lionsgate movie with John Travolta, and we were having a lot of trouble with the ending, and we were back and forth, and I was arguing with the director because it was just such a boring ending, because this is kind of a heroic tale about these linemen who are these guys, these electrical linemen, but they're kind of first responders as well, like when there's a hurricane or something happens. And I eventually did win the battle because I wanted to change it with this sort of Armageddon style ending where right before he gets electrocuted, his light kind of flashes through of all the things that he saw, just like it happened with Bruce Willis. So yeah, I guess I have, and I fought for it, and sure enough, it ended up staying because it made a more completion in the story than just kind of ending it with no explanation.
There was a scene in Secret and Nim, the very first scene where we see the hands of the guy with the omelet.
Nicodemus?
Yeah. We put warts all over the hands to make it look like it was some kind of a creature, whatever it was. And I remember the producers of the movie said, "Now you've done it. This does not look like a Disney movie." They said, "Now you've done it. No one's going to like this." And there were great arguments about the warts on the hands of Nicodemus. So we won. We left them on.
Damn straight you won.
Well, sorry, we can't do any more. They're telling us we have to wrap up, but I got some freebies for you because you're the last one there. Here you come. You have some books. Sorry about that. And that's it for Don and Phil.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Come by the booth. Come by the booth. They're right next to each other.